The Lonely Tree, a heartwarming tale of growth. In the heart of a lively, bustling park, there stood a grand solitary tree, its branches stretched wide and high, offering a comforting canopy of shade to visitors, a refuge on sunny days or a serene spot to rest under, away from the rush of life. Children played beneath its leafy embrace, families picnicked at its roots, and quiet souls found solace on its strong, steady trunk. The tree became an unspoken companion to the park's visitors, always there, never asking, only giving. Its evergreen leaves whispered stories of joy, laughter, and life passing by. People loved this tree, but few paused to wonder whether the tree too had a story of its own. As the years passed, the tree began to feel the weight of its giving nature. Its branches grew heavier, burdened not only with its own leaves and boughs, but also with the countless people leaning on it. Stray swings, forgotten hammocks, and clinging vines wrapped themselves tightly around its once proud form. The joy it provided to others slowly turned into an invisible strain. Its roots ached from holding up such weight, and its strength began to wane. The tree, though silently resilient, grew tired, a quiet exhaustion that no one noticed amidst the laughter and respite it continued to offer. Day after day, the tree stood there, yearning for release, yet too proud to falter or complain. Was this exhaustion simply the price of being needed? It wondered if this was all there was to give, to carry, and ultimately to grow weary. One morning, as the park began to stir with the first walkers and early joggers, a new figure appeared, a gardener. He was an observant man who saw not only the lively crowd that flocked to the tree, but also the strain etched into its bending branches. The warmth of the morning sunlight danced through the gaps in the tree's canopy, exposing its weary, cracked bark. The gardener sat beneath the tree, studying it with a tender gaze. Then, after a quiet moment, he stood, picked up his shears, and gently began to prune the tree's branches. The sharp snip of the shears startled the tree. With every cut, it felt a pang of loss, as parts of itself that it had held for so long were taken away without explanation. Finally, unable to stay silent any longer, the tree cried out, "Why are you hurting me?" The gardener paused, resting his shears by his side. He looked up at the tree, his expression soft but firm, as though he'd been expecting the question. "Dear tree," he began, his voice as gentle as the morning breeze, "I'm not hurting you. What I'm doing is helping you let go." "Let go?" the tree echoed, confused. "Yes," the gardener replied. "Your branches have become too heavy, weighed down by all you've carried for others. To grow again, to thrive, you need to release the weight you no longer need to bear." The tree listened, unsure but curious. It had spent so long being everything for everyone else that it had forgotten what it meant to care for itself. The gardener continued to prune with care, removing the dead and overburdened branches. As he worked, a weight the tree had carried for years began to lift, one careful snip at a time. In the weeks that followed, the tree felt lighter, and not just physically. With its unnecessary branches gone, it felt energy flowing back into its trunk and roots. The once exhausted tree began to grow anew. Its leaves turned greener, its bark appeared stronger, and its spirit felt restored. The people who loved the tree noticed the change, too. "It looks even more beautiful now," some said. Children pointed at the fresh, vibrant leaves swaying gently in the breeze. Families marveled at how the tree seemed even more welcoming than before. The tree, for the first time in years, felt free. It realized that shedding its burdens hadn't lessened what it gave to others. It had amplified it. Now, held together by renewed strength, it could continue to be the shade, the refuge, and the source of joy it was meant to be. The story of the lonely tree reminds us of a vital truth that often gets buried beneath the weight of our own lives. In our desire to give, to nurture, and to provide for others, we can sometimes forget ourselves. Like the tree, we may find ourselves heavy with unnecessary burdens, memories we cling to, responsibilities we never question, or expectations we place on ourselves. But just as the gardener taught the tree, Letting go doesn't mean losing parts of yourself. It means creating space for growth. Trimming away the weight we no longer need allows us to thrive, renew, and become even more capable of providing for those we care about. Take a moment to think about your own life. Is there something you're holding on to, a burden, an emotion, or even a mindset that's weighing you down? Imagine yourself as the tree and ask, what do I need to let go of to grow? Growth doesn't always mean adding more. Sometimes it's about releasing what no longer serves us. In doing so, we nurture our strength, replenish our energy, and open ourselves to new possibilities. The lonely tree, once weary and burdened, became a symbol of hope and renewal, not by holding on, but by learning to let go. How might you apply its wisdom to your own life? Let this heartwarming tale stay with you, its simple yet profound message. Just as the tree's beauty blossomed after shedding its burdens, so too can we find new growth when we let go of the weight we no longer need to carry.